Hi everyone, today is going to be a Flatwork commentary video. This lesson I was very tired and just didn't have much energy, so I'm sorry if it seems like that when I'm riding. I was focusing on getting into the corners really well and getting him bent towards the inside and taking off on transitions as soon as I asked for it. So you guys know how this worked, tell you what I did right, what I did wrong, what I think I should improve on, and hopefully you guys learned something from it. So let's get started. Alrighty, so here I am just working on a 20-meter circle, trying to get his neck down, and by moving the bit around in his mouth, he's slowly becoming more supple and getting gradually rounder and rounder, and I don't have to ask so much, as you can see here. And then what I'm doing is I'm kind of just tugging a little bit with my inside rein and pushing with my inside leg to try and get him just to bend a little, enough so I can just see like the corner of his eye, and that's all I want from him. I just don't want him, because he gets very distracted and he'll look around the outside, and I want him to pay attention to the inside of the circle. So here I'm just as you can see, like my leg is just nudging on really lightly with my left whilst I'm still playing around. Now here when I go up to Trot, what I'm trying to do is keep his head down whilst I'm doing the transition so that it's not a big change in head frame. And here I am just trotting. Nothing too special. And when I'm trying to go bend to the inside, I don't want him falling out of the circle either. So I'm still keeping my outside leg on so that he is still paying attention, if you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah. And I'm trying to keep that outside rein, just there all the time and kind of using it as a turning tool. And then that canter transition there was really good because I got him going a little bit quicker around the circle so that he knew something different was going to be coming up. And my transition with my slide back of my outside leg was really good as well. And here what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep pushing my reins around so that he gets rounder and more supple in the canter as well, and then coming back to Trot. And see how I'm still just constantly doing everything, even when I come back to walk here, I still try and keep his head down. Now here, we are on the right rein, so we have done a change of rein. I put my whip to the inside, and every time and we're cantering here, he didn't canter properly, but then I kept persisting through it, and eventually he cantered, and he was cantering really nicely. He took off on the right lead, and it was really good. Now here, he lets out like a little bit of a buck and a squeal here. Or does he? No, he doesn't. So that was actually really nice there. That whole canter was beautiful. He had a very good look to the inside. He wasn't downhill. He was very nice. And we're going to take off again here. So sit, and get him off. I had to flick him with the whip there because he wasn't going, and then he took off on the wrong leg. So I bring him straight back to Trot and then try again, and he does it. And the quicker I try and get him to do it again, the quicker he takes off on the right lead. So here I'm using just like suppling my inside hand and trying to get him to come down, but I don't want him to be forcing downhill. Now what he does do here is he does a buck and a squeal and some sort of something, as you can see there. And basically what I did is I didn't want to make a big deal that really ruined my routine. So I'm still continuing with everything as normal. I flicked him with the whip when he did that, and then I continued the canter, keeping my, moving around the reins so that he stayed round afterwards. I didn't want there to be a after consequence of what happened. So what I did, and the next time I came around, I just tried to stay really quiet there so he wasn't anticipating me getting nervous in that section where he bucked, even though I was a little bit nervous. And here, his roundness in this circle here is really, really beautiful. He was working very well, even though I was so tired. Now that I look back at this footage, he was working really hard. So yeah, I came back to walk, gave him a pat. But I guess what I'm trying to just say there basically is don't be too concerned about, if something like that happens, all you really need to do is just relax. So that canter transition was pretty good. He took off on the wrong one, came back to Trot straight away, then went off again. Now here, I'm doing the exact same thing. Opening my outside rein and pushing with my inside leg to kind of give him room, an open door to say, oh, you can go here and you'll feel more comfortable. And I brought him back to Trot there, and then I gave him a pat, because as soon as he does what I told him to, I make a big deal to reward him so that he wants to do it again. Now here, again, we're a bit fuzzy. But see, you can see like my outside hand is really gentle, and I'm just opening and tugging on that outside rein so that when I push with my inside leg, he has room to move into it, and he feels like he kind of has a choice. And I like giving him that because, I don't know, I just feel like he works better when he thinks he has a choice of where he can go. Because it's not like I'm forcing him to do it and he gets all rebellious. I'm just saying, you know, it'd be more comfortable if he went here. Don't know what just happened there with the camera. So there, what I was doing is just a little bit of like leg yielding, but not on a straight, like towards the inside, trying to get him to move really deep into the corners because he does cut them when I don't pay attention to them. So then I went back up to trot there, and as you can see, you know, even when I'm doing my trot transition, I'm still trying to keep his head in the contact and not completely go out of it. Here I'm pretty sure we can't, no we don't. And as you can see, his impulsion is really good. He's quite quick, which is great. And every time he starts to ignore my aids, I give him a flick with the dressage whip that I've got, and he pays attention again. So there's a way of doing it, if that's what you... That has just helped me so much the past couple of weeks. And I'm trying to as well to quicken my rising, and that will also make him travel quicker because he has to fall into pace with the speed I'm going at. And see how that, you can see there, you know, I'm kind of leg yielding outwards in the circle and just really constantly exaggerating with that open outside rein so he has room to move into the corner. Came back to walk there. Now see how you saw me lift my rein there? That was because he was getting downhill, and there's a difference between being downhill and being round, so I was just trying to stay on that borderline there. I was talking to my dad here, sorry about this. Okay, coming back up to trot. And as you can see, you know, I try and keep him round, and I don't start rising until I'm satisfied with how his head frame is. And, sorry, I just yawned then. With how his head frame is. And here I'm pretty sure we canter. So sitting, sitting, sitting. He didn't go at first, but in the end that was a pretty good transition. So what I'm doing here is trying to keep my lower leg down. And again, you know, opening, like... he stopped there, I had to flick him to get him going again. When I say flick, I'm referring to a flick with the dressage whip. And he did break a lot in that section, but in the end he went through it without me having to persevere so much. But there you go, he's really round, you know, and I'm still constantly doing the same thing in canter as I was doing when I was doing it in trot, so still opening out that outside rein and pushing with my inside leg. But whenever I want him, I'm a very vocal rider, and what I mean by that is when I want him to go quickly, I use my voice, and I use an uptone voice, and that just makes him feel more excited. And when I want him to slow down, I use like a really low, steady voice to get him to slow down. But that's just how I am. See here, he's very round. I think that's a beautiful head frame because he's not downwards. His head is just naturally round. It doesn't look over the top, if you know what I'm trying to say. And here what I'm doing is I'm honestly being really gentle with my reins because I just felt like I needed to, because I can get very overworked up with my roundness, so I try and keep kind of a long rein so that, especially on a day like this when I felt really tired, so I usually over exaggerate on my movements, but I try to keep a fairly long rein. And as you can see, you know, he's traveling really nicely, and you can't see my mouth moving, but in this you can't really see very well, but I am saying good boy and stuff like that, so that, you know, he's got that positive like reinforcement that he's doing the right thing. Okay, so here I'm just walking, and all I'm doing again is just that inside bend, opening outside rein. Excuse my ghost hand on the inside, that's a habit that needs to be broken. And you just see, you know, I'm really subtle with it. And then as well, when we come back to trot in the same way, you know, I'm really subtle with that open outside rein, but it's enough to want him to move into it. And then we went into canter. Yes, did we? Yes, we did. And again, you know, I'm just trying to get him forward, 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 and wanting to move, you know. And every time, if I kick him and he doesn't respond, I give him 2 quick flicks with the whip so that he knows, you know, a kick means to go. And so here here we go, he broke here, so I had to kick to keep him going. And here I'm kind of in a light seat because I had been really like strong and deep. I wanted to go into a light seat and give him a bit of a free range with his legs. And you know, I have to keep my leg on him here because he was deciding, oh, I have to break every time I went forward, which was quite strange. So I had to constantly keep flicking him and kicking him to make him go. But there I did ask him to come back to trot, then I asked again, so that we kept the transition going and kept it interesting for him. And then I'm trying to keep my heel down on the inside, and every time he breaks, you know, I go straight back to canter straight away, because if I wait, I have almost like I've acknowledged and said it's okay for him to break when I don't want to do that. So then I actually come back to trot. I'm pretty sure it's just here. Actually come back to trot at some point. There we go. So that I asked for that. So then I gave a lot of positive reinforcement after that because he did what I asked him to. He's pooping here. Or getting excited about something. And see here again, you know, I'm not having, because I have been so persistent with the roundness, I'm not having to ask for it so much anymore because he's just naturally going into it, which is what I'm trying to achieve after this whole ride. And his impulsion was so good. I was really proud of him. And like you see, see how I'm just nugging on that outside rein, and I'm like, come into here. And I'm just constantly reminding him, you know, there is a different space for you to go. When he's falling in, I say, you know, it'd be better if you went out here. But I still give him the choice that he kind of has to make the decision to go out, if that makes sense. I just feel like he doesn't rebel as much. And I'm coming over here talking to my dad now, and then I don't realise that he's actually filming. And then I just start talking to him. But yeah, that is pretty much this self-comment. And then I'm like, are you filming? Smile. So that is the self-commentary done. I hope you guys enjoyed and you learned something. I felt like this ride was a little bit more technical than ones I've had in the past. And even though I was really tired, and at the time I felt like I was doing a really crap riding, looking back now, it was probably one of our best flat work sessions yet. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. And I will see you all next week. I am going to my instructor's place for another eventing clinic, so there should be an interesting video coming up within the next month. But obviously there will be one next Sunday, as there always is. And I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.